Yo, so YouTube. So things have been kind of tough lately, for obvious reasons. I guess if you're someone who like keeps up with the consciousness, current events and shit. Yeah. But things have not been great lately. For my end of things, anyway. And seems like we're kind of approaching kind of the end, you know, in some kind of way. I'm guessing in April, but I don't know. I have no idea what will happen in the future, but yeah, no idea. And yeah, and I can tell that like my scheme, dude, my freaking game is getting found out and shit. And it's not really working anymore with the emotional vampirism and the energetic, yeah. 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 If you can get somebody to become like reactive to you, you know what I mean? Just like, yeah, it's like a way to get them ensnared, and then once they're reactive to you, you can like continuously prod them to make them react more and more and more, and that's how you continue to siphon and drain their, yeah. It's nothing new. And so yeah. Yeah. All that shit aside. Yeah. Yeah. I figured I would talk about just some of my, like, some of the things that I've learned about yoga and meditation and spirituality during my time here. And yeah. So yeah. Some yoga basics. Yeah. I was gonna give some reasons for why I'm making this video. It's not needed, but yeah. Yeah, some yoga basics for whoever this helps out. I don't know that much about yoga. I've only been doing it for, you know, like, since like 2021? Something like that. I started doing meditation and yoga because I had like a lot of anxiety at work and I wanted to be like chiller. And now we're here. Yeah, I'm going too far there. But yeah, yeah, so some things that I've learned about yuj, or yoga, or unionization, as it is in Sanskrit. So, some ways we can begin to unionize as a body, which is the purpose of yoga. It's essentially coherence. So coherence with the physical body, the energetic body, the spiritual body, and the life around you, and the lack of barriers thereof. Essentially, the idea is putting it all together in one place where it's supposed to be. So without forceful, exerted effort needed to hold it steady in place. If forceful, exerted effort is needed to restrict it and to, like pin it in place, either something's constantly trying to take it away from you, or you're holding it there against its will. One of the two. Probably the second one. But yeah, if you're doing that, you know you're doing that, and yeah. So yeah, some ways in which we can begin to unionize these gunas, or whatever you want to call them, indriyas and shit like that. And yeah. One of my favorite ways to begin doing this is essentially you can think of the biggest, I guess, like, I don't know, if, like, I don't know, yeah, like, I guess, like, one of the biggest, like, issues, roadblocks that someone can run into when it comes to yoga and spirituality and all that is tension or stress. So stress, as it manifests in the body, essentially is like consciousness. So like the field of nebulous awareness that you are, you know, just your being as it is, as such, the thatness. And yeah, that essentially, in the same way that there's 3 states of matter, there's, if we're talking about water, there's well, we don't even need yeah, there's gas, liquid, solid. In a similar way, consciousness behaves as either vibration, energy, and then matter. It condenses and congeals in the same way that atoms do. And yeah, it's the same pattern, just different like instances of the same pattern. And yeah. Yeah. Essentially, why I said that was stress or tension or ego essentially manifests in the body as in a similar way that ice would manifest. If consciousness around the body is not allowed to flow freely due to typically what is known as mental clinging. So mental clinging basically creates a bunch of like blockages, and like if your body is supposed to be like a free-flowing river, like a Nile river of consciousness or Shakti or prana or energy, rocks in the river, typically that's what a trauma is essentially, like a as opposed to a physical trauma, a emotional trauma manifests as a blocked, like a rock in the path, if that makes sense. If it's a series of circular ponds with like a river, like a little flowing river connecting each pool, a trauma essentially acts as, if you've ever seen Avatar, it's just like this, that's, I'm pretty sure this is, as a rock in that river. And that rock is made out of condensified consciousness, is what it's made out of. And, one moment. Basically, yoga is all about decondensifying those rocks and allowing for free-flowing energy and for free-flowing consciousness, the flow state as it's known as, or basically, a state of effortlessness. And the way effortlessness can be achieved, there's many ways. In fact, there's many different paths of yoga. Hatha yoga, which is like physical yoga, you know, like downward dog and, you know, freaking warrior's way and shit. There's hatha yoga. There is raja yoga, which is meditation, the path of meditation. Yeah. And then there's jnana yoga, which is contemplation or thought, the path of knowledge. Then there is there is Raja, Hatha, Karma yoga, the path of selfless service and selfless action. Karma yoga, and yeah, there's tons of different paths. I know I'm forgetting some, but Hatha, Raja, Jnana, Karma. That's all I can remember right now. Yeah, any of them are completely like valid paths, and any of them can get you to unionization with the divine, essentially, like realization of the self. Any of the paths. What works for you is what works for you, but you kind of just have to play around a little bit and kind of explore to see which style of yoga or meditation works for your particular set of cards or idiosyncrasies or whatever the heck the case may be. So yeah. For me personally, Hatha yoga, Jnana yoga, and Raja yoga work the best. Karma yoga is really good too if you've been like polluted, but you know. Hatha yoga and Raja yoga. Jnana yoga is really fun if like there's been a lot of confusion and like a lot of it's basically just like sorting out what you know to be true from what you know to be false, like according to your own perspective. And typically that like that's a way to find a clear path to consciousness, essentially. But we're talking about Hatha yoga, which is physical. One of my favorite ways to begin. It's kind of lifting my body up with my hands. So I push down on the ground and elevate it, and then drop my spinal column straight onto the ground, which kind of like jiggles it. The spinal column is where Kundalini flows. And so if the spinal column is tensed up or wrenched or stressed or not straight or any of such things, then Kundalini kind of doesn't flow freely, and it allows, souls are essentially magnetic. And if there's a bunch of blockages, your soul's bits will essentially be like shoved to the side or like, And so if you can clear it up, your actual soul can like smack back together. And I find that one of the most efficient ways to get that to happen is to either jump on the ground repeatedly or do just like as it, like, jiggling your whole spinal column. And that's a great way to begin. Another, like, fast way to get Kundalini flowing, I've noticed, if you straighten one leg and take the other leg and put it over like this, put your elbow like this, and twist your spine right at the base, like at the sacral, at the Kundalini root, actually, the fire snake. Essentially, the key area to get limber and loose and decondensified is the back and the spine. Get that free flowing. Typically the momentum of the energy is enough to clear the rest of it up with Vyana and Apana and downward and upward flow. Yin and yang. And the spinal twist. It's a great way to, get energy flowing. You can also do like these are called asanas, by the way. They're postures, or these are mudras with hands, or asanas are bodily postures done for yogic purposes. And so one of the best asanas for like the third eye as well as the top of the Kundalini path is if you take your legs, smack your feet together like this on the floor, push your knees flat, and squeeze your back together like you're trying to pinch an egg with the tips of your shoulder blades aiming towards the base of your neck. And kind of just allow the weight to fall. And then you grab your feet and you bend your spine right at the base and connect your third eye to the tips of your toes. And just kind of hold that position. And notice any wrenched tension or any extra muscle usage that you're not actively using for this position, and let all that go. And the more you let go of the ways in which you're clenched onto your body, the more aware you will become, and the more aware of what you feel you'll become. Which is part of the purpose of yoga. And these are just basics, but anyways. And so these are some like initial ways. Another, like the sun salute, essentially. Another good posture is if you lay flat on the ground with your plexus, your root, and kind of your like sternum flat on the ground. And you make sure that your spinal column down to the tips of your big toes is aligned up to the base of your neck. And then you push upward like this, making sure your legs are staying flat on the ground, bending your spinal column at the sharpest angle that you can get it to bend at. And aim all the energy up and out through the back. Clinging to as little as possible. And so that's a technique. And in terms of like, another good technique for Vyana and Apana flow. So the digestive downward Kundalini force of the body, and the upward rising like, yeah, the downward and upward forces of the body, the yin and yang. So, a good way to kind of get that energy momentum beginning, essentially, is to kind of feel the two halves of your torso and your body, and just like you're beginning to start a fire, kind of rub them together and feel like a little, almost like a divide between the two. And you can go, yeah. And get your kundalini going and shit. And so, there's that. And kind of like, you know, neck twists and shit to help. There's like a, oh, he's trying to get in the door, but yeah. But yeah. And yeah, another good technique is to put your legs into the full lotus. So basically both of your feet, half lotus would be like this. Yeah, 1 foot up, full lotus is both feet up. And pull them as close to your torso, your feet, like the bases of your feet. Pull them as close to your torso as you can. Kind of squeezing, yeah, like that. And then put your hands behind your back. And I like to make this mudra when I'm doing this. It's the, I think of it as the Ganga mudra, but yeah. I'm sure it has an actual name, but yeah. I put that behind my body. Yeah. The thing is snagging bits from, yeah. So I put my hands behind my back, and then I bend my head down like this, connecting the top of my forehead to the ground, and essentially squeezing my head towards my sacral chakra, trying to minimize the amount of like bloat in my torso or in my foundation. It's like a so like, yeah. It's a technique to like bring the energy of the body together and not have it so like dispersed and spaced out and spread apart. Something like that. And yeah. There's lots of techniques. These are just basics. It's kind of haphazard, just some hatha yoga shit. In terms of like Raja Yoga, which that could be a whole video, but in terms of just the pure path of meditation, the biggest tip I can like say about Raja Yoga, meditation is just sitting. That's it. You're not, there's various focusing techniques that you can use for the mind, like fixed point staring, yantra, there's lots. But essentially what meditation, true meditation, Buddhist meditation, is a state of just being, not doing anything at all. Just being. Sometimes the mind can be quite turbulent and, yeah, distractible. And so just sitting can be quite tough, and that's why various focusing techniques exist, is to kind of still the mind a bit, like japa, or yantra, or fixed point staring, or, yeah, japa meaning chanting with a set of prayer beads, like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Yeah. All of these are various techniques to essentially align the acumen, mind, and body with the spirit, which just is. It just witnesses. And so the idea of unionization is essentially unionizing the rest of the fractal of your being with the base, or the initial, yeah. And so, if you're ever trying to find that being, just sit. And without a single thought, just notice. Without labeling any sound or any feeling or anything. Without saying what any of it is. Just being aware. The longer you can stay in this state, that's when you start to approach like states called like samadhi or moksha or nirvana. It's just that, dude. It's the present moment felt free of distortion, which is created by the mind. If you can steady and still the mind enough and stay in that place of just serene awareness, it's better than any drug. It's better than any drug. It's better than any drug. And it's something that's easy to miss. And if you're constantly, going about your day-to-day life, you got this to do, you gotta do this, you gotta plan this, and all these checklists and mental, it could be quite difficult, or it could be easy to forget about the you that's just there, that never moves, that never goes anywhere, that never is affected by anything. It just witnesses. But that's the most real you, not the one that's extremely expressive and has all these opinions, and the ego, the soul, the self. That is still real, however, it is a condensation level of consciousness past where that state of mind can be found. Something like that. And if ever life seems too turbulent, too much, too meaningful, too scary, too whatever, if life ever becomes too much, just sitting and finding the present moment right here, right now, free of mental activity. No matter what arises. That can be enough to get you through hell. Just so that's it. You always, always have the ability to just be. No matter what's happening. No matter what karma. Karma exists in the past and in the conceptual future. There is no such thing as karma in the present moment. In the present moment, there is just Om. Just Om. A little cricket. Yeah. Yeah. Hope that was helpful. I have no idea, but yeah. Hope somebody can get something out of that, or hope it was educational in any kind of way. And yeah. Love y'all. All my love. Namaste, namaste.